Good evening, beautiful woman. Welcome to Isaya's Inspiring Evenings, a podcast full of goddess series, witches' secrets, colors of women and fairy seasons to integrate serenity, abundance, joy, and magic into your life. I am Isaya Bell, creatrix, magical pragmatic inspiration mentor, tech goddess teacher, and traveling priestess. And this podcast aims to accompany you for peaceful and inspiring evenings. Isaya's Inspiring Evenings has had various iterations and styles and is published irregularly. Subscribe to the podcast on the platform of your choice to be informed of the publication of each new episode. If you like this podcast, please support it by leaving stars, blue thumbs, and reviews on whatever platform you listen to me. In 2024, there are going to be 5 series in it, for now. All different, all aiming to inspire the audience, all telling stories, each complementing each other. One series titled Women Lighting the Way is about women's stories, centering around the past or future speakers from the various Women Lighting the Way Summit, adding to the virtual library of women's stories and providing a much-needed counterpoint to the many men's stories going around in our world of patriarchy. This is one of those episodes, and I am happy to invite you to listen to the story of Joanna Hunter, recorded in 2021, entitled Sliding Doors: How One Decision Can Change Your Whole World. Enjoy!
Hello, Leah. Hello, Anita. You have to bear with me for a second because this is my very, very first time going properly live on YouTube. So I'm kind of finding my way on how it all works. I'm all excited. So I'm going to introduce myself because if you're brand new to my world and you don't know who I am yet, my name is Joanna Hunter. I'm a spiritual life and business coach, and I live in the Highlands of Scotland. I have been an entrepreneur for a very, very long time. Now I've been an entrepreneur in 23 years. And I started my first business when I was just 23 years of age when I first started on my first business. And then I built 4 6-figure businesses. So then once I built 4 6-figure businesses, I worked in them all. And we can kind of tell that story isn't going to end well. And it didn't for me. I ended up having a massive, massive burnout, which ended up changing the trajectory of my life completely and utterly. And for many years afterwards, I nearly died during my burnout. So for many years afterwards, I was in recovery, not in weeks and not in months, but in years. And recovery took its toll on my life, totally and utterly took its toll on my life. Any income that I'd had was pretty much decimated. I had to let go of all my businesses. I kept only my spiritual events company because it allowed me to work way more flexible hours. I had to find a new way to live, but the priority for me during those years was to really learn how to heal my body, to heal my mind, to heal my mindset that had landed me really in that place of burning out completely and utterly. So then I began kind of healing myself, and I healed myself from chronic illness and things that I was told by doctors I would never heal from. And I really believe that that is a testament to how powerful our minds are. If we put our minds to something, that we can actually heal beyond what we might think is possible in the physical world. And 6 years ago, I felt a very, very deep calling deep inside my soul to take my sacred work. I'd become a life coach by that time, become a business coach by that time. I was helping other people heal their lives. I was helping other people achieve goals that they've always wanted. I was helping them to build their businesses, and I was doing it offline. And I lived in the Highlands of Scotland, so the population is not very big. And I felt this really, really deep, deep, deep calling inside my soul to move online. Now, it didn't really make any sense. And at the time, I didn't know that I was standing in front of a set of sliding doors. And I want you to imagine that a set of sliding doors is like, they are like a portal. And the portal it's like a portal. So it can, the doors open in one way and you go through one way and you end up going down one path. And equally, you make a different choice at these doors, the doors take you to another path. And in that moment, it made no sense. I didn't really know very much about, I knew about running businesses, but I didn't know very much about running online businesses. But I decided to throw my hat in the ring. Now, I was still in recovery from multiple organ failure, from my burnout. I still had chronic fatigue and I still had moments of chronic unexplained pain syndrome. Don't know who comes up with those words. When the doctor tells you that's what you have, you're like, oh my goodness. So it wasn't, the odds were not stacked in my favor, shall we say, Here I was, like, not really knowing a huge amount about running an online business. Then I didn't realize, and then I wasn't really sure if I was going to be medically fit to do what I was proposing. But I listened to this feeling inside. It was just this feeling inside, like, nope, that is where I'm meant to be. That's where I'm meant to be. So living on welfare, stony broke, had no money to invest in my business. That was the other thing that was stacked against me. I literally had $0 to invest in starting a business. I began on this journey in 2015. And I did a really, really bold move. I had an okay practice that was bringing in money offline, and I was bringing in the most money into our household. And the rest of our income was being made up in welfare payments or benefit payments because we're in the UK. And that's how me and my family were surviving, and my 3 children, my husband, and our little fur babies. And then I decided I was going to move online and I was not going to work offline at all. So I even decided that it wasn't going to be like a smooth transition. I was literally going to walk through this portal, this sliding door, all in, chips on the table, all in. So I walked through the sliding door, and it's a moment in time where everything changed for me at that moment. And it's one of these things that we don't know that everything is going to change when we step through the sliding door. There's moments in your life, there are going to be moments in time where you take a step in your life and you can feel that it is a monumental step on some level, but you're not fully aware of how monumental that step is. You only get that piece in hindsight. Now, the easier road for me to travel is the easiest way for me to travel is that I could have just taken, the easier road, which would be not to try anything new, not to rock the boat. I was already, not 100% well all of the time, things like that. So the easier road would have been not to go through that sliding door, would have been like to try and get a regular job or get some sort of stability in our lives. But instead, I listened to the calling of my heart and I stepped through that door. So when I stepped through that door, what I what I didn't know was I was about to go on a grand adventure. I was about to go on a huge, huge, big adventure. So I stepped through not knowing a lot about, knowing a lot about business, but not knowing a lot about online business. And I stepped through the door and I hung my shingle out on the internet and I began marketing my business. And when I look at the ripple effect that has happened in my life since then, it's absolutely incredible. So, one of the journeys that I decided as I was stepping through this door was that I really desired to be my own rescue, to no longer be beholden to needing benefits or welfare, to be no longer, my mom was so great and so wonderful and would quite often like get her shopping for us or help me out to buy shoes for the kids, things like that. And but I didn't want I was a grown woman. I didn't want my mom to be like, I wanted my mom to be able to treat my family because she wanted to, not because we were desperate and we needed the help. And so it was a huge moment in time. And I stepped through that door and I had nothing. And this is one of the things when you face your own sliding doors, you will have nothing but your faith. I had nothing but faith, hope, and a dream. That was it. Faith, hope, and a dream. And that was all that I had when I stepped through that door. So I stepped through the door, and the first year in online business was kind of brutal. Um, I had been an entrepreneur for a long time, so I thought I got this. And I began and I had kind of some success, but not much. And I started to convince myself that there was this like secret club that of where they kept all the good marketing tactics for themselves. I had no money to invest in my business, like none. I couldn't afford a mentor or a coach. I was starting to get really, really frustrated. And in December of 2015, it just all got too much for me. And I had like a total crying, ugly snot crying. It was not pretty. And sometimes in our lives, there comes a moment where we have to have the breakdown before we can have the breakthrough. And I'd been a law of attraction teacher at this point for nearly 10 years. At this point, it was December 2015. I've been a law of attraction teacher since 2006. So 2006, when I started teaching other people the law of attraction, had learned the law of attraction for a year prior to that, and then I began to go out and teach. And after that release of emotion, frustration, all of the things like, how do I do this? It was kind of like it unblocked me, it unplugged me. And then when that happened, when that happened, I was so absolutely over the moon. When I realized that, you know what? I you know what? I've got this. Like, I know the law of attraction. And I realized I was just focusing on everything that doesn't work. And I was focusing on it and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when I realized that it was just getting bigger and bigger, I realized, well, what if I just focus on what I can do? So I wrote a list and it said on the top, shit I can do. That's how frustrated I was when I wrote the list. And I listed all the things that I could do. I could send an email. I could create a Facebook group. I could post on Facebook. I could create a PayPal link. And I realized as I wrote this list that actually growing an online business, I didn't need very, very much more than that. Just tenacity and a will to do, will to put myself out there. So now I decided from this point onwards, I would focus on what I could do to increase the energy of that instead of focusing on the frustration and everything that I couldn't do. So in February of 2016, I get the mother of all downloads. It was huge. So I want you to picture this, because it was certainly not a glamorous place. I was not sitting in some meditation temple receiving gifts from the divine. It was just not pretty. I had just taken my nephews out on a walk. We were on a caravan holiday in the north of Scotland. It's icy cold February, up on a beach called Embo. And it was absolutely freezing. And my naughty nephews have so much energy, and I could see my mum flagging a little bit. So I thought, I'll take my nephews out and we'll run off some energy on that beach and run off their energy. And came back. I was exhausted, and my nephews still had plenty of energy. So I was sitting in the little kitchenette area. Behind me, my three nephews are literally pummeling each other with pillows. My daughter is there, my youngest daughter, my niece, and my niece's best friend, my mom. And suddenly this massive download hits me. And that download turned into a moment that would completely and utterly change my life. And the download was divine planning and abundant profits. And it took 2 hours just to get what had just arrived into my mind and get it down onto a page. And when I read it all, I just wept. And I knew it was the answer to my solution, to my problems. I wanted to know two things. How do I break the feast and famine cycle? And how do I make money on the internet? How could I provide for myself? How could I be that own rescue that I so desired in that moment? How can I help other women by getting my message out to them? And there it was. It was just sat on these pages that I had literally written like my pen was on fire. I started crying. My mom was really concerned. Oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? My mom's an accountant to trade, so she had a look. And she says, "You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This is it. This is it, Joanna. This will work." And I just knew it would work. And so I applied it to my own life. And in March of 2016 was the last time that I was ever in the feast and famine cycle. My life since then has changed exponentially. And it has just gotten better and better, and just experiences more and more and more expansive. In April of 2016, I did battle with my ego. The program that I had channeled and downloaded that was working wonders for me, and it was starting to work wonders for my one-to-one clients who I told them about the process. When I was really, it was a program that would help you make six figures. And at that time, I wasn't making six figures. And I thought, can I launch this? Can I be in integrity? Can I be in integrity? Can I launch this thing? Can I put this out into the world? Oh, I went 20 rounds with my ego. I was like, you can't do this. This is out of integrity. And I looked at it and I thought, this is so good, and other people need to know this information, because if anyone out there was as frustrated as I was in December, they need this. They need this. And in the end, I said, okay, as long as I'm really, really upfront and honest with everybody that purchased it, like, hey, I've had six-figure businesses before. I know I will have another one, but I don't have one just now. And as long as everybody who purchased my program knew that at the start, I thought, I can sell this in integrity. I can be in integrity with myself and share this. So I did. And the very first launch, 4 students signed up. And immediately, within 4 weeks, they started getting results, building their email lists, getting more customers. They started telling me that they'd taken more action in this short period of time, these 4 weeks, than they'd ever done in the year previous. They just had so much clarity. They felt like just things were possible. They felt like the world had opened up for them. And that was a moment I knew I'd done the right thing. I'd done the right thing in releasing the program. So the second time I released the program, I had 5 students sign up and say yes to the program. Meanwhile, I am becoming this self-fulfilling prophecy, and my own business is exponentially expanding and growing. And then in 2017, I retired my husband. And that year, same year, my daughter came home and began working for us as well. And we hit 6 figures, like I'd promised that I would, and I did. Then we hit multiple 6 figures. And then in the end of 2020, we launched the $1 Million Experiment, and my business went viral. And it is a very, very strange moment in time for me, because I was making multiple 6 figures, but I suddenly was really catapulted into the stratosphere of a business that was on track for 7 figures. And it is a moment in time. Now, when I look back, because I entitled this talk Sliding Doors, and what I wanted to share with you is these moments in time where you choose something, your heart knows, but in your mind, it makes no logical sense. And if I take you back to the beginning of this journey, when I decided to move my business from offline onto online, and that I would no longer serve people offline, it made no logical sense. But I did it because I followed the wisdom of my heart. I followed the wisdom of my heart, and I did it. As a result, I built a multiple 6-figure business. I've been able to retire my husband, been able to bring my daughter on board. We've been able to bring Jen on board full time. I hired one of my friends to come and work for me as well, who's a single mama. So it feels great to support another female entrepreneur in her life and business, and the lives that we have transformed as a result of that one decision of I will move my business online, and the ripple effect that it's created. When I said that I was going to do this talk on sliding doors, I had an idea of what I wanted to say and how I wanted to convey it. 2 months ago, before I'd kind of fully agreed to this, or this was after I had agreed to do this talk, I received an email from a client of mine to say that I had saved her life. And she said, I wouldn't be here today, Joanna, if you hadn't, if I hadn't found you on the internet. I found you on the internet. I would not be here today if I hadn't found you. And today, one of my beautiful divine planners wrote such a heartfelt comment inside the group that said that because of one of my healings on intuition and healing intuition, she listened to her intuition, and it possibly saved her life too. This is the ripple effect that we create of the sliding doors. Now, when we are in this energy of the sliding door, it requires something from us. It requires our courage. It requires our belief. It requires us to hold a faith for something that you cannot see. For something that you cannot see. And therefore, that when you step through that sliding door, there is going to be people that think you're bonkers. There's going to be times where you're going to question yourself and think that you are the one that's bonkers. But there is a knowing. And if you keep retapping into that inner knowing, and I want you to think about the things that have affected you in your life. I want you to just take a moment, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath in. What's had a positive influence in your life? What's been a thing that's had a positive influence in your life? Just think of maybe one or two things. Maybe it was meeting a best friend, or like a serendipitous meeting that you just, you met somebody and now you're like best of friends. Maybe it was a moment, I can think of that with my own story, with my own best friend. I decided to go down to mediumship school, and I'd never been to anything like that before in my life. And I was just really like, what? And there I stepped off the lift. I arrived at the place, Hogwarts for mediums, that I call it, the Arthur Findlay College, the world famous mediumship school. And I stepped off the lift, and there stood my best friend. And then I proceeded to make such a complete idiot of myself. And that's how we ended up as firm friends. But these are sliding door moments. Like, that was literally a sliding door moment. The lift doors opened and I saw her and I was like, oh my God. And we ended up the best of friends. And we have been over a decade now. We have been firm friends, and our children have grown up. And I'm an honorary aunt to her daughter, and she's an honorary aunt to our children. It's absolutely beautiful. And these are the moments in time that where you could have chosen differently. And that's what a sliding door is. But I believe that there is a highest energy. I believe that there is an energy that is a highest energy, and that if you enter the moments in your life that are sliding doors with a higher intention, the results are always bigger and wider. You see, I wanted to be my own rescue in my life, for me first, but that was so that I would be in a position to help others. So when I entered the sliding door, yes, I wished to help myself and my family, but I knew that if I was helped, then I could help others. And that was my highest intention when I felt the calling and the pull to move online. And I don't know if I would have had the strength to move through the sliding door that was that moment in my life, that if I would have had the strength to move through the sliding door in that moment that was my life, that I would have really had the strength if it was just for me that I was there. But it was this idea that I had something to share with the world. And I knew that it would be more powerful and potent if I could share it from a stronger base of my own energy. If I could really literally step up and be my own rescue, and I could share the message that I had in my heart from the stronger power base, that I could make more ripples in the world. And I know that if you're listening to this, that there has been many moments in your life that you're thinking now, maybe that was a sliding door moment. I could have chosen this, but I chose that instead. And then it created these ripples. Sometimes it's like, imagine sitting at home and then your friend says, do you want to come out? And you're like, "Oh, I don't know. Come on, come on, come on, come on out." And you say yes. And that was the night that you met your husband or your partner, right? It's like these moments, these decisions. And what I want you to think about is I want you to think about your micro decisions I want you to think about your micro decisions, all the little decisions. And what I want to take you through now is just to really sit and breathe for a moment. So what if you had more courage to make those decisions? What if you had more courage to step through the sliding doors of your life? That you didn't turn down opportunities when they came, that you took them and that you stepped through. And I want you just to hear the story that I'm sharing with you in the fact that all of the women in the summit most likely would maybe not have met each other had it not been for the decision that I made. And many of the women in the summit have made friends for life. And many of the women in the summit have been supporting each other, cheering each other on, all of these things. And that was a ripple effect from a decision. Should I put my business online or should I not put my business online? And it is that sliding doors. Now, the analogy of the sliding doors comes from a movie in which it has a set of sliding doors, and it's about a parallel universe of like the woman walks through the door, she meets the love of her life, and then the woman does not walk through the door, she doesn't meet the love of her life, and the trajectory of that changes, and the trajectory of our lives change. And I want you to understand that every single decision that we make changes the trajectory of our lives. And that when we make the decisions in life that take all of our courage, that have you breathless and panting a little bit because you're like, oh my God, can I actually do this? When we make those decisions, those are the decisions that can change everything. And I know that because I made that decision back in 2015, my life is so much more rewarding today than it was back in 2015. I have met some of the most incredible humans I have ever met in my life. I have connected with women all over the world. I literally possibly have a couch to sleep on worldwide. I have touched the lives of people. I have people in my inbox that have said to me, "You've saved my life." I have people in my inbox that have said to me, "Joanna, you've changed my life." But I know that the ripple that I created doesn't end there, because the women whose lives I touch, they go out and create their own sliding door moments. They go out and create these incredible moments for other humans. And so there is really what I started back in 2015 was a legacy of light, because I found my courage to shine my light. And I want you to think about that what if you were take this moment in time and you took something right now that you're afraid of, that you took something right now that you're struggling with, that you're resisting like crazy, and you're like, but there's this other feeling inside, this deeper feeling inside that says, just do it. Just do it. And you're like, I don't know how. I don't know how. That's a panicked voice inside you. I don't know how. I don't know how. But if you just breathe, you listen to that voice that says, just do it. Just do it. You'll find a way. And you'll step up. You'll find a way. And as you do that, it will begin to exponentially shift your world. And you will look back on in hindsight and you will see what a sliding door moment that could have been. When I look back in hindsight, and I look back through the quantum field and I see myself and I see, what if I did not step through that sliding door instead? I said, I'm too afraid. I don't know if I have the energy. What if I get sick again? What if I die this time? What if? And I made my choice from fear. And I made my choice from fear. What if I did all of those things and I made my choice from fear? Then I think now what my life would have looked like. And I see a woman that is massively unfulfilled when I look back through that moment in time. And I think it wouldn't have been good. I think I would still have been struggling for money. I still would have been living a life of struggle. And sometimes when we get presented with these moments in time, they make no sense, but they need all of our courage to do it. And that when we move with great courage and tremendous passion just to do it, and it makes no sense, that we are rewarded by the divine in some way. We are rewarded for taking the bold action, the action that didn't make any sense, the action that had your palms sweating and your knees knocking. And I want you to think right now that so many of you are most likely facing sliding door moments. When you face that sliding door, I do not want you to walk through the door as who you are today. I want you to think about your potential. Who could you be? And I walked through that sliding door as a woman that deep down in this tiny little boots of her soul knew that she could touch other human beings and bring something epic to their lives. And so, knees knocking, palms sweating, I made my decision. And some people may look at me and think you gambled with your family, with your ability to provide for your family. And on paper, yes, that is the truth. But there's a deeper truth, an energetic truth. And that energetic truth said, I will reward you for the boldness that you have shown today. And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about your own legacy of light. Because there's many times where your life will be touched by someone else's legacy of light. But you have a legacy of light to leave as well. And when we make not our decisions from fear, because that's what I could have done in the sliding door moment. I could have picked fear, said, I'm too afraid, I can't do this. And there was plenty of me that was agreeing with that. There was plenty of Joanna that was like, whoa, your horse is girly. Do we really want to do this? I don't think so. We're really scared right now. But I made that choice. I made the choice from an elevated consciousness, from courage, from love. And I made the choice because I thought, you know what? I don't want to get to the end of my life and wonder, what if I had tried that? What if I had done that? What if I said yes to this? I did, what would that have looked like? I didn't want to be the woman that got to the end of her life and thought those things. I wanted to know for certainty. I wanted to know for reals. Could I change people's lives? Could I reach a global audience? Could I share what was in my heart with the world? Could I share my light and my magic with the world? I wanted to know what that looked like. And there I was. By all standards, in 2015, I was, and this is going to sound harsh to myself, but I was a bit of a human write-off. There was absolutely no way that with my health at that time that I would been able to hold down a regular job, because I don't think that there would have been anybody that would have employed me that, especially if I said like, hey, I can maybe work this week, but all bets are off next week. I might be ill next week, because it was just my chronic illness was just coming and going, coming and going. So stepping up, choosing that moment in time, choosing to believe in my dreams, choosing to believe in these higher states of energy, hope, faith, dreams. It takes courage. But I know if I can do this, you can do this. This year I'm on track to build a 7-figure year. But what tickles me more than that is the thousands and thousands of people we have reached. My books have reached hundreds of people, thousands of people now. My podcast has had thousands and thousands of downloads. The idea that we are making a ripple of light, the idea that we are connecting all of these people, the idea that my communities can create this energy, harmonize this energy where the women of Women Lighting the Way Summit get together and say, yeah, let's do this. The creative force and magic that is being unleashed. And I want you to be inspired by this, because if this is what's possible for me, what is possible for you? What paradigms could you birth through yourself? And all it requires is your courage. But there's a bonus to this way of living, this way of being, is you'll never, ever have to get to the end of your life and wonder, what would it have been like? I wish I had done. Because I can trust me when I tell you, I will not be getting to the end of my life and thinking, wow, what would it have been like to have just sat my ass back in 2015 instead of doing this whole business thing? There is no way that I will ever be getting to that stage in my life where I'd be wondering what I'd be doing now had I not decided to follow my courage. And so I want you just to think about that there is a reward for allowing your courage to lead you. What could you have courage for today? Because if you had gone back in a time machine and asked 2015 Joanna if she was capable of all this, she'd be like, what? Freaked out. But here's the thing. I would have freaked out. I wouldn't have believed you that I would be living the life that I live. I wouldn't believed you I would be sat in this incredible house that we've just bought. But you have to be willing for the road to grow you. The road grows you. You grow into the human that can. But you have to have courage to take the first step through the sliding door. You have to have the first step to take a step through a door where you do not make the decision of your life based on fear. You base it on hopes, dreams, courage, and faith. When you make those decisions, the universe seeks to reward you. It seeks to meet you on that playing field. Because if you've been in my communities for a long time, you know I'm famous for saying this. The universe is a giant game of Simon Says, and you always get to be Simon. So when you say, show me courage, show me hope, show me love, and you give those actions out to the universe, they will mirror that back to you. They will mirror other courageous people to you. They will mirror other people who are full of dreams and hopes and people that can help you and elevate you. And that's what it is. What can we have courage for today? That's it. It's just as simple as that. Because every moment of every day is a sliding door. You make thousands and thousands of decisions. Thousands of decisions. And you think, move my business from offline to online, the little mini decision. Moving my business from my local market to a global market. The women that I have in my world now are from every single continent in this planet. I have clients, people that I adore on every continent: Australia, Canada, all over Europe, all over the UK, all over the US, India, Singapore, Hong Kong, all over the Asian continent. Even have people in Iceland and places like that. You know, it's absolutely unbelievable. And there I am. But you're making decisions like that every single day. And are you making the decisions of your life from fear? Oh no, I can't do that. Oh, people will think I look stupid. Oh God, what will the neighbors think? That's your fear talking. Who could you be? Who could you be if you chose your decisions from courage? Standing in your fridge. Standing in your fridge, you're making a decision. What you're gonna eat. You think it doesn't matter, but it's gonna be who you are later on. Your food becomes you. Right? So if you make good choices in that moment, in that sliding door, in that opening of the door of the refrigerator, it has a ripple effect. It all has a ripple effect. Who are you going to be? What are you going to have courage for? So I'm going to have a little look at the comments now before I wrap up. That's how we began the summit, didn't we? Absolutely. That is how that summit began, right? Like, with courage. Stepping into the $1 million experiment was the best decision I ever made. It led me to working with you for a year. Oh my God, I'm so happy. And Cindy, who said that, like at the beginning of this year, like she never thought she was going to be reading Akashic Records, but she does now. It's amazing. It's just, you could definitely go anywhere. Yes. I think there's a couch for me on pretty much every continent. It would be amazing. Come and stay with people. So it is. But you have this ability too. There are so many doors all the time, right? We're being presented all the time. And so many of us make these decisions from this space and this place of fear inside of us. But what if we made it from courage? What if we made it from our hopes and our dreams and the things that just make you glad that you're freaking alive in the morning? Those things. What if we make the decisions from that place? And I hope that by listening to this, that you're inspired. Because I know that every single human being that you came across, that you will come across in your lifetime, that has inspired you, that has lit something inside of you, every single one of them faced that morning, even before they stepped out of and started their day, they faced a sliding door. So easy to switch on that Netflix and an entire day may go by the wayside, And I have so much gratitude in the women that went before me that face their own sliding doors with courage, with tenacity, with hopes, with dreams, with faith, so much faith. And I'm so grateful to them. I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to learn from them. I'm grateful I got the opportunity to step up because of them. I'm grateful that they helped me to show me the way. But you can be that for another human being too. And I believe that we live in an unprecedented time right now. I believe that there is a divine feminine energy rising. I believe that we are who the world has been waiting on, women entrepreneurs. I believe that the time for women to light the way literally is here. I was sitting speaking with my assistant today, and my assistant Jen said to me today, you know, wars are a very masculine thing, she said to me. And I said, how so? I said, well, can you imagine a group of women and they're going to discuss going to war, and they're sat around the table and they're going to discuss sacrificing the children of that country against another set of children from another country. She says, I really, truly, truly believe that women wouldn't come up with the idea that war would be the solution. I really, really don't believe that, she said. And I took a moment and I thought about it. And remember, I grew up with Margaret Thatcher. So I grew up in that generation with Maggie Thatcher, who was really a very masculine woman. But then as I thought about it, I thought about my own daughter, and I thought about the lady from New Zealand, and I thought about the Finnish president, and I thought about these, and I thought about Nicola Sturgeon here in Scotland, these beautiful women who are leaders of countries. And I realized I couldn't imagine them. I couldn't imagine them saying, yeah, let's do something that will kill our children. Yep. I would just imagine that this bunch of women at the table, they would discuss it. They would cry. They would feel their emotions. And they would come up with something that was emotionally intelligent. How can we find a solution that does not mean killing our children? And I feel that every one of us that feels a call for something within a sliding door, that feels a call to put their sacred work out into the world, we are part of this. We are part of this so that our daughters one day will be running the countries that we live in. And when their turn comes, and that moment comes and it says, are you going to send our children to war? That these intelligent women that we help birth that paradigm for say, no, we'll find another way. We'll find another solution. We'll do talks. We'll discuss. And I really, truly, truly believe in the work that we are doing, all of us. We're all playing a role in it. We are all playing a role in this moment in time. And this moment in time, if you have the deepest courage in this moment in time, we will, as the Dalai Lama say, as a Western woman, we will change the world. 100%. We will change the world. We'll change it for our daughters and we'll change it for our sons. We will bring back the energy of emotional intelligence. And in order to be that emotionally intelligent, we have to learn a different way of being. We have to step up. We have to stop making our decisions from fear, and we have to choose to make our decisions from courage. Because our future, of our planet, of the people that you love. That's what depends on this. It's a huge thing, responsibility that I'm laying at your door. But sometimes it's hard to find the courage for yourself. But when, as a woman, when we think, those people need me, when I thought about the other women who are trapped in the benefit trap, and I thought about the other women that were struggling financially, and I thought about the women who felt like they could just burst because they had so much light inside them and they didn't know how to share it, I had courage for them. So I stepped up. And some days, courage for me was thin on the ground, but I would think about those people. And here I am, and I'm living that. I'm living that legacy of light. I am living the light. I am the light. You are the light. I'm living that today. I have never been so honored and proud to stand alongside such incredible women that are in this summit. I have never been so proud. We are doing this together. We are leaving and gifting a legacy of light on this planet. And it needs your biggest, brightest, and boldest courage. Thank you so, so much for coming to the Women Lighting the Way. Thank you for supporting these incredible women. I want to ask all of you a favor. I want to ask all of you that are listening that go check them out. Go follow them on social media. These women are next level. They are absolutely extraordinary human beings. If you have enjoyed tonight, go and check out the clients that I have had the absolute pleasure to serve. Go check them out. Go follow them. Go and give them a like. Go tell them that you saw their talk. If they touched you when they spoke to you and they touched your soul, give them that encouragement, because it means everything. When you're up here on the stage, palms sweating, knees knocking, scared for your life, but somehow you've dug deep and you've found your courage and you're doing it. So I want to say thank you so, so much to the women of this summit for finding your courage, finding your voices, and using them to be a legacy of light for the world that we live in. Thank you. I am going to end there. Thank you so much to Chris and Isaya for organizing this, and everybody else that's in here. Go check them out. You will not regret following these next level women. I promise you. I'll speak to you soon.
That's it for this episode. The next one is still in creation. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, if you want to support this podcast, share, subscribe, and leave stars, blue thumbs, and a review on whichever platform you listen to. If you want to be accompanied in the change processes that life offers you, if you want to live a goddess life daily and participate in the awakening of feminine energy in the world, know the secrets of witches, and apply the rituals of fairies in your daily life, contact me on my website, isayabelle.com. You can also subscribe to my newsletter to be informed of all the news in the real and virtual world of Isayabelle. You will, of course, find this podcast on all platforms: Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, etc., but also on YouTube and on my website, isayabelle.com, on the podcast page.